Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Miss Scala, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscala.
Hello and welcome everyone. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscala. It is an honor and privilege to have you listen in and allow me to share with you some of the things that I run across. Oh my gosh, so many things that we run across now. Well, obviously you'd have to be sleeping under a rock, maybe up in the mountains somewhere where you have no internet, no TV, no cell service. Not to know what's happening in this country today because of what appears to be a murder. A murder recorded on a cell phone device. And the more I look into it, the more questions I have. There are those who believe or who theorize the man possibly may not be dead. The whole thing could have been an act. I think he's dead, personally. Just my personal opinion. I don't know how many of you looked at the picture and just kind of analyzed what was going on. It's creepy. Really, really creepy. There's so many the more I look into it, the more questions there are. There's people claiming that George Floyd was a porn star. They put pictures of him up with a half-naked young lady, appears to be pouring oil over his private area. Could be photoshopped. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is anymore. There's so many lies out there. I watched a short video of a bar owner. I think it's kind of like a nightclub, restaurant, bar kind of thing. Lady said that both of these men worked for her, and there were times that both of them worked at the same shift. One was the outside and one was the inside. And the primary outside was George Floyd, and the inside was this character. He doesn't even deserve to have his name mentioned. Had somebody tell me, you got to go back and look at it, Riscala. It says, the craziest thing, it says gas is 99 cents. I got to thinking about that. whenever they post a price for gasoline, $2.49. It's really $2.50. This is the deception that they pull on you, because it's not $2.49. It's $2.49.9. Always 0.9. Always. I've never seen it. As long as I have ever seen gas prices, I've been around the rodeo a couple of times, folks. I've never seen it anything other than 0.9 ever. So if it was 99 cents, that means it's 99.9. Guess what? That's 666 again. And there's so many questions. It doesn't... The way that guy... I mean, I just can't get over the way that guy looked into the camera, knowing he was being recorded and what was going on. Then I hear that there's a possibility that these people who were dressed as police officers were really not police officers from that precinct. And the one who did the killing, according to his neighbors, they didn't even know he was a police officer. The more I look into it, the crazier it gets. And leads me to one... I don't want to, it just leads me to a conclusion that somehow this was planned. Now, maybe that guy really did die. I think he died. I watched that part a couple of times. It's difficult to watch. I think he did die. Well, who's to say it wasn't a sacrificial kill? Not that he was going along with it. But who's to say it wasn't a sacrificial kill in order to raise the race tensions? I find it curious, interesting. Why don't they talk about the rights, our civil rights, our God-given rights that are backed up by the Constitution? Why don't they, when they report, why do they report it was a white cop and a black man? Why don't they say that an officer greatly violated the rights of another human being? Why does it have to be a white and a black? Because I got news for you. The majority of the times, the data doesn't lie. The majority of the time, when someone dies in, quote, police custody, they're not black. That's the truth. It's just that this is a spark that can be fanned if the conditions are right, and the conditions are right. People are absolutely fed up with being on a, quote, lockdown. I find that curious that they use that term lockdown. That's what they use in prisons. When the prisoners, when the slaves get out of hand, they go on lockdown. So we've been in this lockdown for, gosh, right now, over 60 days, going into 90. I've had it. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It wouldn't take a whole lot to set me off at this point. I'm sick of this whole thing. I'm sure there's other people out there that feel the same way. The difference between me and those who act out is I let my common sense take hold of me before I allow my emotions to drive me out. I've learned over the years that when I act out of emotion, it's usually not a good thing. And there are people who are driving people's emotion to the max. And they don't even see it. They don't even see it. The majority of the people who are doing damage, who are rioting or looting, the majority of them, not even from the area. If you saw a video of a young lady, or appeared to be a young lady, I don't know what it looked like, what looked to be like a young lady in a wheelchair, disabled to some degree, because obviously She had a power wheelchair, who was attacked in one of the stores. They saturated her with what appeared to be a fire extinguisher. I see pictures of this individual afterwards laughing and having a party. So what was all that about? Was that a put on? Was that an act? Did she really get attacked, or was it planned ahead of time? We're going to do this, and somebody's going to shoot it, and we're going to put it on the internet. People were being manipulated heavily. And throughout this manipulation process, we are rapidly losing our freedom. I don't know any other way to put it to you. This isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't my opinion. This is, just look around you. In Miami, I only happen to know about this because a couple of weeks ago I had a gentleman on. Actually, last weekend I replayed it. I had emergency poppy duty. It's one of those things when the grandkids call. Sorry, guys, my family is priority number one. Well, priority number two. Number one is serving God in whatever way I can. Number two is my family. Number three is this country. So anyway, I had him on as a replay last week. He's running for Congress, so I only happen to know about this because he's going down to represent this young lady in court. What was she arrested for? This evil criminal young lady, 19 or 20 years old. She's a hardened criminal, this woman. She deserves to be in prison. What's she guilty of? What was she arrested for, Rascala? She wasn't wearing a mask inside of a store. Now, whether you realize it or not, the government doesn't have a right to force you to wear a mask. If you feel or if you have a health condition of some sort, and it has been spoken to by many different doctors that the wearing of a mask throughout the day is not good for you. If you are a healthy individual, there is no need. But there's so many things that is wrong with wearing the mask. My gosh. Imagine trying to stop mosquitoes using a chain link fence. That's what you're trying to do. That's just the beginning of it all. What about your eyes? Are you aware that if it is a virus, because now I'm finding out it seems to be bacteria of some sort, but this can still infect you through your eyes. So you're out walking around, hey, you got a mask on, and it kills me to see these people. Oh my gosh. This morning, every morning, I walk my dog. Whether it's like the other morning when it was pouring rain outside, it was only a couple houses down and back. That's extremely rare. It's typically 3 to 4 miles. It's a long walk and it's purposeful. He's a very high energy dog. I use that time to help de-stress myself and think about things. I don't play music while I'm walking. It's just quiet and nature and me walking around. And so I see these people riding their bikes and they have masks on. I have to bite my tongue. Now even this dipstick, Fauci, he's coming out and saying, the use of masks is not as, I can't remember the words, predominant, I can't remember the right words, I'm paraphrasing, but basically it's not as necessary as it is, people think it is. Now, if you're somebody who has a compromised immune system, okay, wear a mask. I got no problem with that. I got no problem if you are a healthy individual and you wear a mask and you want to, let's go back and try it again. If you're a healthy individual and you want to wear a mask, that's your right. I would stand for you. Where I draw the line is when you say or try to shame me like those people in New York chased this poor woman out of the store, I believe. Well, they gave her a hell of a hard time because she wasn't wearing a mask. That I draw the line on. You want to wear a mask? That is your absolute right. There was a time when I served this country believing in that. I gave them a blank check signed with my blood. To the last drop of my blood, I will defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is your right to choose if you want to wear a mask or not. That's up to you. It's not your right. It's not the government's right to try or attempt to force me. That's wrong. That's just outright wrong. Now, in this young lady's case where she walked into a store, and if the store had a sign up, you must wear a mask to come in, that's her fault. It is as stupid as you can be on behalf of the store, because these are people that are willing to come and purchase from you and help you stay in business, but you're going to force them to wear a mask. Well, here's the silliness that I find, the stupidity that I find in all of this. It's like the vaccine thing. If you're vaccinated, what threat am I to you if I'm not vaccinated? If you're wearing a mask, what threat am I to you? Unless I spit on you or something. What threat am I to you? The whole purpose of you wearing a mask is to protect you, right? So you're wearing a mask. God bless you if that's what you want to do. Why would you want to force me to wear a mask? Force me to the point that you would call the police, and the police are absolutely asinine for arresting this young lady and then arresting her mom outside. When they came to arrest her mom says, "Oh, this is my daughter." "Oh, well, let me see your ID." "Well, I'm not sure. I didn't do anything wrong. What I need? You're going with her." Now they stayed in jail, and Mike Velarde and one of this is the kind of people that we need running for our government right now. Mike Velarde, and I can't think of this young lady's name, but they're both running for the same seat. They both came together. This is what real patriots do. They join when they see that there's an injustice done. They both came together. Now they're running against each other for Congress District 21 here in Palm Beach County. But they both found out about this, and they both agreed this is a great injustice for me. They both came together, went down there, and I think they even bailed him out. This is what it's coming down to, people. This is absolutely asinine what is happening. Numbers do not lie. How can you possibly have a pandemic when you have at least, at the bare minimum, 98.6% recovery rate without medical intervention? How in the world is that a pandemic? But they will use that as an excuse to do all kinds of things that they would normally not be able to get away with. And if the people continue to comply, who knows? These stores that are asking for masks today, maybe they're going to be asking you for your COVID tomorrow. You know your COVID. You know what that is, right? Your COVID. You're going to have to carry that with you. Your certificate of vaccination ID. Your COVID. Have you got your COVID? Do you want to shop in our store? Let me see your COVID. Oh, you want to get on this aircraft? Let me see your COVID. Oh, you want to come in and dine with us? Got to see your COVID. You represent a danger to those who are carrying on COVID if you don't have a COVID. It's back to the same vaccine nonsense. It's toro poo-poo is what it is. It's really what I'd like to say is a slang word, but that's really what it is. It's crap. Because if vaccinations really work, then what threat is somebody who is not vaccinated to someone who is? When in fact it is 180 degrees. The vaccinated people have a shedding time, whether you were aware of this or not. You get the flu shot, guess what? You got the flu for 30 days. You're shedding for 30 days. You are able to give the flu to other people for 30 days. Why? Because they injected you with that crap. More and more talk about mandatory vaccinations. The president has mentioned that people are not going to be forced. So he said some people may not want them. He didn't come out and say there wasn't going to be mandatory vaccinations. He just said, well, some people may not want them. What happens if you don't want them? Does that mean you don't get them? Or does that mean you get them anyway? I'm telling you, the more things that go on, the more questions that I have, I don't get answers, I just get more questions. These are all indicators to me of a false flag of some sort. That doesn't mean that man didn't die. You know, when you say a false flag, people go, oh man, here we go again. He's going to say nobody died. That's not what a false flag is. You don't understand what a false flag is. The false part of this false flag is the intention that's behind it all. To get people riled up in race relations at a higher level and more intense between each other. That's what the false part of it is. The false part of it is this was done purposely in order to do that. It wasn't just some white guy, white supremacist comes in and wants to kill himself at you-know-what. It wasn't just that. It was to increase the tensions between between anybody, everybody. And then they use that as an excuse. People like George Soros moves his people in. We have the rioters and the looters, and the violence breaks out, and all pandemonium breaks loose. And before you know it, they'll have to claim martial law. We'll have to have military out on the streets. This is what's being planned for us. Now, in my opinion, it's just me, just my opinion. If I were there seeing what whoever that thing was, dressed up like a police officer, watching that, I would probably either end up dead or in prison, because I just could not stand there and watch that. I couldn't sit idly by and watch it on a monitor, knowing it's already happened. There's nothing I can do about it. How many others out there feel like I do? You're watching these things occur, and you want to step in. And God help us if we do, because we become the villains. We're watching somebody who's supposed to uphold the law break the law, and if we step in, then we are the villains. How is that possible? The more that I look into this thing, the more questions that arise. These people knew each other? This guy was a what? I hear he had a ministry of some sort from where he came, I think out of Texas. If I'm going by memory, I got to tell you guys, in the last 90 days, my memory hit. I think it's because of the stress. I am the pits. I'm beginning to get concerned about myself. It's really gotten bad, and I'm sure it's the stress of being forced out of business. Watching I'm a business to business. That's how I make my bread and butter. I don't do it on the radio. I don't make any money on the radio. I don't look to make any money here. What I'm looking to do is create a spark of curiosity in people's minds and say, you know what, maybe Rascal is crazy. Let me go prove him wrong, because that's how it started. One of the ways it started for me. I was listening to a DJ that I had personally met literally criminalize the Bush and the Bush family. And I called in and I went, don't you think you should have more respect for this person? And they were very crude, very crude. What do you know about this family? I mean, she was a lady and she was screaming, what do you know about this family? He's the president. What do I need to know? Do your homework. Hung up on me. And I went, okay, you picked the wrong person. You picked the wrong person. I'm calling you back. Let me go look it up and I'll be right back to you. Well, boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I in for a shock. Boy, did I get my socks knocked off. Holy smokes, man. They were a crime family. They are a crime family. That's what I'm hoping I can do with the people who listen. Create a spark of curiosity, enough to go, Rascala, you are so full of feces, I'm going to go check this out, and I'm going to prove you wrong. And if I am wrong, please let me know. I'm just a person, guys. I'm not a genius of any kind. I've made mistakes, and I'm sure there's mistakes to be made as I move forward throughout my life. I'm not afraid to admit that I've made mistakes. My fear would be not to have learned from the mistakes in moving forward. We all are going to make mistakes. If you judge us strictly on our mistakes, none of us are going to get anywhere. The more that I look at this thing, the more questions I have. The more questions I have, the more questions come up. Something is not right about this whole thing. And I'm watching as people are being influenced to do things that maybe on different circumstances they wouldn't be so easily influenced to do. We know that the real troublemakers are being bussed in. People are reporting buses of people coming in from out of the town to create havoc. Who's paying for this? Who has that kind of resource? Reports, I think it was in Minnesota, but I'm not positive, of police officers starting fires. Now, I mentioned earlier, if I was there and I saw something like that, it would take everything within every fiber of my being to stop myself from doing something, probably something stupid, like, I don't know, who knows what. Pushing him down, I don't know. I just know that I just couldn't. I'd be a part of it then. That's how I'm wired. That's what I would feel. If I saw that and I did nothing, I would feel like I was, regardless of how small of a fraction it is, I would feel like I was a part of that. And I will not allow that. I won't be a part of that. So why aren't other people doing that? Again, the more I look into it, the crazier it gets. The more questions there are. The more questions there are, the more questions that come up. It's a vicious cycle. All right. Going to have some people, hopefully, here on with me tonight. I'm going to have some interesting conversations going on. I'm going to have a gentleman by the name of Will Torres on with me. Will is he's a director, he's a producer, he's an actor. He's coming out with a movie about Donald Trump. And I think it's kind of like a documentary. I don't know a whole lot about it. There's a trailer we're going to announce. Actually, the trailer's on WCET-FM. That's where it's at. If you go to www.wcetfm.com, trailer of the movie's there. And I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have Will Torres with us. Hopefully we'll have Angel Strong with us, and possibly David and a couple of the other crew joining in before the night's over. You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show. This is Riscala. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Brittany's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny. Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it.
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 Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day, people make me feel small.
Every day, I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day, people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the I.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show, an honor and a privilege to have you listen in and allow me to share with you some of these things that I run across. Again, the more that I look into this whatever you want to call it, the more questions there are. Hopefully, we'll be able to come across some of those answers. Maybe tonight, who knows? In the meantime, let me welcome Angel Strong, the one and only Angel Strong, who is an entire encyclopedia. Again, so it's too early in the evening to not be able to talk. An entire encyclopedia of information and knowledge, particularly when it comes to things like biblical knowledge or even biological information with regards to biological makeups of people. Welcome, Miss Angel.
Thank you so much, Scala. Am I echoing? Because I can't stand to hear myself twice.
No. If you're echoing, if you're on a speakerphone, that may be why.
Well, I'm here with Christina Starr, my sidekick for our radio show, and we're excited to be with you.
Well,
hi, Scala.
Hi, Christina. Welcome. And I believe I have Will Torres on. Let's see if this is Will here. Area code 207, Will Torres.
Yes, I'm on board. Thank you.
Well, welcome, Will.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, let me give a little background about the movie real quick. It is not a documentary. It is a movie that is going to hit home, especially with everything that's going on right now, with this craziness, all this fighting in the streets and Antifa and every other kind of looter and criminal out there. when is anybody that is good going to step up against this evil? And that's what that movie's about.
Wow.
'Cause we're tired of it. I'm telling you, Riscala.
Thank you, Will Torres, for writing a movie that shows how to fight against these types of criminals.
Thank you. As we got to thank Mr. Trump for that. He's the one that's in charge and leading this amazing society of law-abiding citizens to protect the innocent, the vulnerable, and the weak.
Amen.
Will you tell Riscala, I'm not trying to take over this show, but what the movie is about?
The movie is exactly the current events that we're facing in 2020. It has to do with the pandemic of the coronavirus, and President Trump is confronted also with the pandemic of violent criminals that are being released from prison.
Yeah, that's something we don't talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, these are repeated offenders. One of the most vicious and ruthless criminals that are continuing to hit the streets to repeat, crime after crime after crime, which is actually really happening. So Mr. Trump is faced with these two pandemics, and he has to find a solution. And so in the movie itself, he signs an executive order and approves a vaccine to protect and save millions and millions of lives of the American people and people throughout the world that are affected by the coronavirus. And but then he's left with the pandemic. Unfortunately, what's happening now, violent career criminals being released from prison that are raping, murdering, drugging, and killing our loved ones. And something has to be done. And he's the one that takes the decision to turn around and implement a society. It's a secret society of law-abiding citizens. It's regular American people, just like yourselves, from the radio station, mom and papa from the restaurant, our kids are the eyes and ears of Mr. Donald J. Trump, and they report to him the every movement of the negative element and the vicious crimes that are occurring at night. So while the bad guys are preying on the vulnerable, the innocent, and the weak, the people we love, the dark angels tuck in the kids at night and suit up in black. And it's just because they're in black, it doesn't mean that they're bad, because they're only protecting and doing what they have to do to protect the kids. So they go out and they prey on the predators. And the way Mr. Trump is dealing with the situation, he's standing by our Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms, and he stands for that we should protect ourselves so that we can protect our family and our loved ones. And so it's really going to be the movie of the year. I don't believe there's going to be anything like it. Currently, right now, Atlanta and Hollywood, they're all shut down. So there's no major production. So my company's name is Connected Films, and it's Donald Trump the Chosen. And anybody who wants to watch it, they can watch it on the YouTube channel or on Connected Film, www.connectedfilms.com.
Riscala, does it not sound interesting, though, in this particular time, where we're like watching insanity, as you said, where the police officer, we don't know what the truth is. If that indeed happened, where if the police officer had his knee in somebody's throat, and people just stand around filming, something's wrong in our society.
Absolutely.
Major wrong. That's my whole thing. And I don't know if I mentioned it during the monologue, but his neighbors said that they don't know that he's a police officer. I don't know about where he's at, but here in Palm Beach County, police officers drive their cars home. So there's literally a police car in their driveway. Now, if that's the same up there, how could you not know? Unless this guy really isn't a police officer. Maybe I'm just saying, the more that I look into it, the more questions that come up. The more questions. I can't find answers. It's truly troubling. It really is. It reminds me of when I started with 9/11. The more that I looked, oh my gosh, this is what I'm finding here.
Well, I had the same thought I saw the interview with the neighbors. It was just a very candid interview saying we thought he was a real estate agent. We had no idea he was an officer.
Huh.
And also, even if he didn't have his patrol car 24/7, he would have at some time been home in a patrol car and also his
I
uniform
would think so.
at different times.
I would think so. I mean, it just seems logical to me. What about you, Will? Does it seem logical to you that if this guy, how long has he been on the force? I don't know how many years he's been on the force. He hasn't been on the force 90 days. This guy's been on the force for years. Would it seem logical to you, Will, that some given time he'd end up coming home in a police car?
Absolutely. We're talking in reference, because there's several incidents that have occurred. Is this the one with the officer and the gentleman that they're rioting, or this is the other one with the house?
This is
The rioting one, but we're saying that the one that that supposedly killed oh my God,
George
the officer
Floyd.
that killed George Floyd. Yes, he killed George Floyd supposedly by standing on or stomping on his throat.
He put his knee on his throat for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
For 8 minutes in front of a video camera.
And people didn't jump in to stop him. They instead
That's horrible.
sat there and watched him supposedly die.
If I can elaborate on that, if it's okay, would it be
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Me as a retired law enforcement officer, I worked in correction, Rikers Island. I worked for almost 20 years in the penitentiary. What happens with officers, this is no justification by me because I'm guilty of it myself, where you go into some sort of a tunnel vision. And you get caught up, right? But it's up to the responsibility, because that's happened to me where I've been, let's say, for example, in a confrontation with an inmate. And, sometimes it could get under your skin for whatever the reasons, right? And it's also for myself as well. Now, my actions to be justified. And I went overboard. I'm going overboard because I'm still a human being. Even though you maintain your professionalism, sometimes it can, certain situations can take you outside the box. It's not until you're in that situation. Now, but what I find is that the neglect of the other officers, because that's what's happened to me in my passing, is where I've had other officers intercept. And for example, of the Rprs, stop or no, or whatever. And the same thing I've done with other officers as well. Should it apply to that given situation? So the other officers to turn around and do actually nothing about it, they should be held liable for that responsibility, because they could have made a difference by, whatever that officer was going through.
helped.
Which at the end of the day, the tape, speaks for itself, and it doesn't appear that there's no justification for whatever 7 to 9 minutes of that pressure applied. Because, in the protocols with any type of law enforcement, there's what is called the force of matrix law. And you cannot break that law, meaning that, for example, deadly physical force is only warranted when it's met with deadly physical force. So in a situation like this young man that was unfortunately handcuffed behind the back and had 3 officers on top of him, it doesn't appear to be reasonably justified in no capacity to turn around and do what we've seen and it's been shown on film, because it's just to meet up with the standard, right? If I get out of my car and someone takes out a knife and they come at me, I'm justified to pull my firearm because I'm met with deadly physical force. In this case, the officer had options, and that's what he's going to have to eventually turn around and try to justify in a jury somehow, which I don't see how, because the jury will turn around and hold him accountable to saying you as a professional law enforcement officer should have known better, right? Because you need to be a professional and need to apply no more, no less than what we don't have to. And so too much it's obvious that was executed, and that's what caused the gentleman's death. And it's a very tragic and a very, sad situation. And it would be amazing. What I believe is that the police department, if you ask me this, what I truly believe, every police officer should be a correction officer first. When I was a correctional for almost 20 years, I never once utilized my firearm. Never once. Thank the good Lord, even when I was off duty. And when you're in a prison dealing with the most violent, combative criminals ever in your life, you don't have a gun. You don't have a gun in that prison. So what does that mean? It takes you to the next level. It takes you to a level where you got to use verbal judo, right? In order to diffuse mentally and psychologically any type of a combative or any type of a violent situation. And so when you were a correctional for at least for 3 years, let's say, that's what I would do. And then you go out to the police, to the street as a police officer. Now you are more in a position of where you know how to handle yourself. You don't result, because never once, even when I was a correctional officer, I used to effect off-duty arrests, like robberies and muggings and things like that. And never once did I ever have to use my gun. And I defended myself with my hand. But that's what I was trained to do. So, so that's what I feel, in my opinion. These young men, and I think they should also raise the age criteria. Putting a firearm on someone who's 21 years old, giving them that power of authority, should be maybe 25 to become a police officer. Have some sort of experience or go through life of some capacity, some shape. And the training, it falls back also on training.
I'm telling you, training is, I have seen the training go from being police officers to men at war. That's basically how they're trained. They're trained like they're at war, and they act like they're at war. Unfortunately, mentally, they act like they're at war.
Yeah. You're right.
Yep,
absolutely
go ahead.
Right.
Well, I would say that with the 3 other officers standing around, maybe the first 2 minutes that they wouldn't say anything, but after 8.5 minutes, that's a long span of time. Do you understand? Like, time is, depending on where you're at, everything is an equation. But time goes really slow when somebody's got their knee on someone's throat.
You bet your life.
That's what I find bizarre, that nobody, and they were being filmed by strangers too. Now, if a crowd of strangers with cell phones that are video cameras, nobody tries to, they said, hey man, you're doing something, but nobody really, really tried to stop it. And I find that bizarre.
There's so many things bizarre about this whole thing. Again, the more I look into it, the more questions there are. It's truly disturbing. It's not just a simple what we saw. I mean, what we saw was clearly murder. I'm not questioning that. I think that guy, there are people who question whether he died or not. I don't question that. I think he really did die. But what we saw was murder. Absolutely clear cut. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about what we saw. My concern is how quickly that has been used to propel this country into utter chaos. That one act could I don't know, I can't even put an exponential number. How do you even equate that? One act, and look at what we're going through today because of one act of one guy. And I have suspicions that he may not even be a cop. Again, his neighbors didn't know he was a cop. So
Scala, this is Christina. I have a theory in mind that this has something to do with the election coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
They needed to make Trump look even worse, so they feel that they're doing, because Minneapolis is a Democratic area. Atlanta, all these cities where these riots are happening are mostly Democratic, and the left don't care. They're hiding in their houses and could give a crap. They're loving this violence that's being created during Trump's presidency. What do you think of that?
I would agree with that. What about you, Will?
Well, I guess, we're in a position where, all the doors are open, right? I mean, it's everything is there. I mean, there's always on the political side of things, there's always going to be a motive and a reasoning, and people that unfortunately is sad that will take such a tragic situation to capitalize that for whatever personal gains, to attack, to manipulate, and to, unfortunately, like Christina just said, even President Trump, to turn around there. Because I believe that those things do happen, Right now, I mean, I was watching on the news where they were basically saying that there were a lot of arrests from people that weren't even from that
From the
particular
area.
city.
Yep.
And that so they come in from somewhere else.
Yeah, they're busing them in, literally busing them in. People have reported seeing buses coming in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would be looking more at George Soros than George Floyd.
They're being paid by the left to bring in. These people are being paid to act like idiots, even more so than their upbringing taught them to be. Because who destroys grocery stores?
In your own neighborhood. In your own neighborhood.
When groceries
You know?
is something people can't get.
It truly doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Will, when your movie, does it discuss any? Does it show any of this that's going on today?
Well, I mean, this is a real time now. This is the movie was boxed in and put in a box now approximately about 2 months ago, right after the coronavirus. I was able to implement that. But this is just happened. I mean, everything is already filmed. The movie's already set. So this is something completely different. But what the movie does cover is unfortunately what is occurring right now in real time is that they are releasing hundreds, if not thousands, of violent career criminals to continue to repeat offending.
Yeah. And you don't hear about that. You don't really hear much about that.
Nobody goes and loots a store at night that isn't a thief already in the day. This is not, they're already career criminals. They were just looking as an opportunity to get into something else. They're already thieves. Nobody that doesn't have that inherently in them wants to break out a glass because somebody got killed. This is just another excuse to loot, to steal, to trash, to destroy.
Yep.
So these people are the evil seeds that are running all over this planet, and we as good seeds, we're sitting back waiting. How much longer do we have to wait? And that's what the movie addresses is, how long are we going to just sit there and just let evil take over all of our communities? And the answer is not that much longer.
There's a saying something about the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who do nothing, or those who watch and stand by, or something like that. Basically, the evil people, the world doesn't get destroyed by the evil people. It gets destroyed by people like us because we're sitting on our behinds and not getting up and doing something and allowing them to do it. Because there's got to be a whole heck of a lot more of us than there is of them. I can't believe that it would be any different than that. That there are more of us who would choose life over death, basically, because that's what they want. They want death for 9 out of 10 people on the planet. That's one of the first things they want to accomplish. Death for 9 out of 10 people on the planet. And if you think I'm kidding, go look up the Georgia Guidestones. They're very dead serious about what they're talking about. They've engraved it in stone. I don't know how many languages. 11 languages? I don't know. It's there, engraved in language, engraved in English, it's one of the languages, and you can read it. It's in the first line. The very first line is maintain humanity at 500,000. Now, depending upon who you ask, it's somewhere between 7 billion and 9 billion. Well, if we turn that into hundreds of thousands or thousands, that would be 1,000 millions. That would be, so it would be like either 7,000 million or 9,000 million people on the planet. They want to reduce that number to 500,000. You understand?
Well, if we just look at the microcosm, as I always say, the microcosm of the macrocosm, I'm just using the United States because we're the powerhouse. Even here, what power do we as citizens have? Because we are told that we're not allowed to go to our synagogue or our church or we'll get arrested and fined. Yet these people are going in droves, looting places, and we're told to stand down. So when is this going to change? They don't even have to kill us. We're allowing them to take over society.
That's my whole point.
First of all, why is nobody getting shot? Why are there no rubber bullets, no water cannons brought out to control these rioting crowds? It's ridiculous. They're allowing. They are letting them act
Yeah,
psycho.
yeah, they are.
Purposely.
Yeah.
That's
Without-
why I love this movie, because it talks about how we rise up as a nation, if you will, as dark angels, which are actually the good people helping control all the crime in our world that these damn police don't care about. They're standing there with guns and everything. They're not using them.
Because they're not allowed to. They'll be arrested. If a police officer does something, even if he grabs somebody at this point, somebody is going to riot, racist, whatever. They're literally handcuffed with no handcuffs at this point. I would waste all the.
I'm sorry, I'd be taking them out.
I would too.
To my rights in the Constitution, I would be bearing all of my arms, and I would be using them to my advantage quietly. You got to stand off and look at what's happening.
Go ahead.
How much longer are we supposed to wait around?
Oh, I'm
Well-
in total agreement with you. Go ahead, Will.
No, thank you. That's amazing what you just. I would just like to have the privilege of elaborating on your comments. Is that that's what's amazing about this project, this movie, is that it does exactly just that. I mean, unfortunately, it's maybe in the fiction world, right? Because it's a movie, but it actually displays your emotions of what you just expressed, right? What it allows when you watch this movie is that it's kind of like an escape route. You will be able to see this movie and feel a sense of empowerment, right? Because the audience has a voice. And a lot of times, though we feel that we wish to have the capability of doing certain things in our lives, but through fears of consequences, right? We hold back or we don't. Like the gentleman from the radio was just explaining and saying that, and we need to rise and come together, and we don't know how to do that. And so in the movie, Donald Trump actually empowers the American people, mothers, father. Someone as simple as your son that's 7 years old is the eyes and ears reporting to mom, and it's being transferred as everyone is living the ordinary life, very normal, and not being exposed. Because what happens in the movie is that a lot of the American people, the reason why they're involved under the umbrella of the secret society that's called the Dark Angels is because they hold very vital positions in our community as police officers, doctors, lawyers, that they're fed up and they're tired. And so secretly, they join forces together so that at night they can turn around and protect those that can't protect themselves.
I like that it addresses the human trafficking problem that we have in our world, and how in this movie, Will, I felt so much. I was emotional. I was excited. Just the trailer alone and all of the clips that you've put up on YouTube. Thank you so much. You're brilliant. You probably had no idea that God was leading you down this path. You would have never known a corona was coming when you first thought from your point of view as an ex-correctional officer and being into everyday people trying to help create miracles for them to be in acting. Like, you give people a chance that have never had a chance before to believe in themselves. And when this movie comes out, I think it's going to start a movement again.
I do too. And the fact is that this child trafficking thing has been brought to light by President Trump. That it's really important in the movie because kids are disappearing and nobody cares.
Look what happened with Jeffrey Epstein on the Epstein Island and all the underage girls. Well, where did they come from? Some of them were trafficked and taken to this island against their will. And Will brings these facts up in this movie.
Yeah, that is really an important thing too, because we used to look at milk cartons, I guess, for now, children. But there's so many that are disappearing, and the movie kind of waxes and wanes through the channels of how these kids just out of the sky blue, they're just gone. The mother turns her head and they're missing. Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I don't know if
there is justice.
I don't know if you've seen this video on YouTube, but it's a video where it shows various cameras, commercial settings sometimes, where this one particular one I'm thinking about, it's some kind of an agency, like a tag agency or something like that. A young lady sitting there, and she has a maybe a toddler, maybe 3, 4 years old, just enough to walk around and get in trouble, and then one in a crib. And she's right by the front door. Somebody opens the door, grabs this child, literally grabs this child, and runs off in the blink of an eye. And of course, the mother's hysterical, and people go running after this person. It doesn't show what happens afterwards, but it does show how quickly some of these things can happen. There was an incident here in Florida. I think it was in Boca Raton, about 4 or 5 years ago, where a mom and a young daughter were murdered inside of a van. I believe that was an attempt at human trafficking. They were trying to get them. They were trying to take them away, and they absolutely refused. And because of that, they killed them right there on the spot. Everything that is related to this kind of evil and darkness can come upon somebody literally in a blink of an eye. It really is disturbing. If you haven't seen that video, I don't know how to look for it again, but it's a video of people snatching kids, basically, literally snatching kids.
Wow. Absolutely. You know, in the movie, it really exposes that. That's exactly what the project also. Our kids are disappearing and they're being kidnapped, and not only kids, adults, because it's not just sex trafficking; it's also adults for slavery and whatever may apply. And in the movie, and unfortunately, sad to say, but you have people that are here from organized crime and the most violent and crucial, individuals that you could ever meet, and they're selling our people. They're taking them down to a location in Florida. I guess I could let this one out of the bag, a little secret. Ocala, Florida, and from there.
Thank you, Will.
And,
we weren't going to give no spoilers. We weren't doing it.
Well, we got to give the audience a little something, right?
Yes,
but there's a secret.
There's
a secret
some local
compound.
basis to it.
Yeah, there's a secret compound in Ocala, Florida, and the mob have manipulated the system, and they got everything where they're taking our kids and they're disappearing throughout the city, throughout our country in America. And they're being sent overseas and being sold for $100,000, $200,000, and once they're gone, they're gone. We have no control over that. And I portray the character. My name is Razor in the character, and the president assigns me basically to go out there and save these young children and the kids. And it's a team of me and 6 soldiers that were trained on the Operation Mindset, and we implemented the actual program. And basically, Operation Mindset is designed to turn around. There's no due process. So when we go to save the kids, is to do whatever it takes, like the SEALs, bring out our loved ones back and the kids back, and take everybody out. There's no laws, and it's just to protect the innocent, the vulnerable, and the weak.
Mm-hmm. There is reports of that already happening. Children, supposedly, allegedly, by the tens of thousands of children that are being, I don't know, I can't verify any of it. I'm just telling you what I've heard. Tens of thousands of children between California and New York and a couple of other places that are located in these DUMBs, the DUMBS, these deep underground military bases. They're located in these cities and so forth, that they're being rescued by the tens of thousands, and the people who are doing it, there's no prisoners. They take no prisoners. It's strictly a rescue mission.
Wow. This movie, I guess we can say, Riscala, I hope that it's okay to tell Riscala and the audience.
Absolutely.
Christina and I were able to,
let's say, coax.
We guided our way into seeing the movie, and it's the kind of movie that makes you not only feel good, but you know how you want to cheer.
Yeah, you want to jump up and get involved and cheer. And say, yes.
Cool.
There's a twist at the end that will keep everyone OMGing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the twist at the end, which we'll never give away.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. But people need to see this movie. It's so important, especially what's going on
and
right
it will
now.
change your vision of what's happening today as to what could happen tomorrow.
Yes.
So
when does it come out?
October 4th.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, October 4th through Vimeo on demand. Right now, currently, it's starting to go up on billboards. I got 4 billboards going up in Florida. On 441, heading towards Ocala and Leesburg, north and south. There's going to be billboards. Young and Edgewater. There's going to be another one, and so this is expanding. And then the next project is going to be hitting Washington D.C. So yeah, so we're going to expose it, basically globally. And so as we get closer, everyone should start seeing the development of it, especially at 30 days prior to the release of the movie, October 4th of 2020 at 7 p.m.
And it's going to be available July 7th. If
2020, yeah.
2020, you can pre-order.
Yeah, we're currently setting that up with Vimeo on demand. My company is Connected, www.connectedfilms.com. And so for all the information, they can go to Connected Films. I mean, you could even Google it or on Facebook. It's all over. And but yes, that's going to be the idea, to do the pre-orders, because Vimeo creates a platform where they only allow you a 90-day window out to start accepting pre-orders. But I'm excited about that, and I think this is going to be an amazing project and movie that is going to impact the world. It's 30 days prior to the election. In the movie, Mr. Donald Trump finds the cure and the remedies to really save and do for the American people, and he winds up winning by the majority votes, and he gets reelected. And after being reelected, then he goes on for the next 4 years to turn around and bring on the economy back bigger and better than ever.
Which is exactly what he's going to do.
That's right.
Our vision has always been Trump vision.
Yep.
Well, if anybody can do it, it would be him. Can't argue that point.
That's absolutely. That's exactly what I say. That's exactly what I agree from the bottom of my heart. I feel that despite of whatever the current events are with the coronavirus, is something that's beyond anyone's control, and it's madness. When we get back on track, should Mr. Donald Trump, which I believe will be reelected, yeah, he's going to be the man, the chosen one. That's why I titled the movie The Chosen, because he is the chosen. Whether we want those that want to accept it or not, the man is the chosen. He's in the Oval Office at this moment right now, making the decisions. And when he gets reelected, which that's what I believe, he's going to really bring back the economy. I don't think I would want to see anybody else more than him really doing what it takes to turn around and get us back on track.
I agree.
Absolutely. I mean, who's he up against? Biden can't put a sentence together.
Really? It is true, though.
Also in this movie, Thomas Mundy, who is the leading Donald Trump impersonator, it is his first probably starring role. That I don't know of any other movies he's been in yet, but Will was able to wrangle him into this one, which was the best, because he portrays him very well, and Thomas Mundy also is funny when he's not on, in the movie. Right. In real life, he's just a normal person. Will, you could elaborate about Thomas, couldn't you?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, when I had a Donald Trump impersonator, because this is an independent film, so I didn't have a Hollywood star. So when I turned around, I said, man, who's the most talked about? When I kind of researched it, Donald J. Trump, I said, okay, there goes my hero. This is going to be my shining star in the movie. And I'll build on his notoriety, because to support, he's an entrepreneur, and I appreciate, I respect that. I'm an entrepreneur. And so, adding to that equation, I had a gentleman that I was going to use, and when I was going to utilize him in a sense of a silhouette, but it really wasn't doing the job. And then the same gentleman turned around and sent me a trailer, and it's Mundy, the construction worker, and it went viral.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that, right?
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And when I seen that, I said, he's mine. I'm going to get him. I'm going to pick him up. I'm going to go to New York if I got to walk out there, put him on my back and bring him to Florida. But I was able I was able to be blessed. I really got to say, very fortunate to be blessed to establish contact with the man, and that he accepted my opportunity, the opportunity of being in the film, and he did such a great job. I think, he stole the show. He's just a character. He's natural, being Trump, and I flew him down here, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but that's how I met these Angel Strong and Christina Starr.
Yes, we always love telling the story of how we met and all became friends.
Yeah, it was that night, wasn't it?
It was the same night you met Thomas the first time, right?
Yes, I had picked him up from the airport and took him to season 52.
Nice.
Go ahead, we're all ears.
And I'm sitting with Mr. Trump, and he's in character. He's with his MAGA hat and his suit and everything. We're having a phenomenal time, and the waitress comes over and says, excuse me, but tells Mr. Mundy, well, Donald Trump, let's address, he likes to be addressed as Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, there's two young ladies that, they're fans of yours, and they would love to have the opportunity of speaking with you. And the bubbly guy that he is, he gets up, he goes, and leaves me. Starts talking with the ladies. And one thing led to another, and we engaged in conversation, small talk. And now me and Mr. Mundy, we're going to the studio. I was having my crew have the studio set up so we can get ready to film and everything. And we go to the car, and the car wouldn't start. I left the light on or something like that, a brand new car. And then all of a sudden, there comes, I call them my angels, but Angel Strong and Christina Starr. And they stop right there and they say, would you gentlemen need a ride? Or like a ride? I couldn't believe that. Perfect timing. And when they took us to the studios and my whole crew, I took a moment to tell my crew, hey, listen, let's round of applause to beautiful young ladies that just saved us, And you ladies take it from there.
We just had a great time. That's the first time we've got to hear you tell the story, because we always take over.
And that's exactly how it happened. But there was a connection. We all kind of blended in together so quickly and so evenly. But when we got into the car, or when they got into the car with us, we had just come from the airport as well. So we were in a rental car. And I said, come on and get in the car with Thelma and Louise. We're driving all through these back roads. Go ahead, Christina.
We're driving through back roads. I'm looking around like, I don't know where we are. And Will and I are in the back seat. And I just look up and say, listen, I want you guys to know she's a black belt. Okay? She's our weapon.
Oh, my goodness.
But we ended up being very close friends. To this very second, we spent the last a day with Will.
Yeah, we went and met up with Will. We got to drag him back to our hotel room. And,
yes, we abused him.
And keep him for hours. And we got the sneak peek we were looking for.
There goes the G rating.
I really,
oh
if I
my
can
gosh.
elaborate a little bit, I'm really grateful. Thank you, ladies.
I'm sorry, what was?
No, that I'm saying that I feel I'm so honored that I showed you the project, and so that this way, if you're standing, by it, it's because you believe in it. Not just the trailer, right? The trailer a lot of times could be deceiving, but seeing the movie itself, you ladies now have the world in your hands with the movie, and so by you believing in it, it really, I'm very grateful. I'm very humble to you ladies actually turning around and supporting a project that I believe in, and we put so much hard work into it, but that you acknowledge it. So thank you.
Well, we're not kidding either. We laugh about our friendship, but honestly, that movie is something that I am thinking about from the moment that I wake up and throughout my day. But the last thing I think about before I close my eyes is that movie, because it's such an empowerment.
Wow. Hey, Will, if they had a sneak peek at the movie, Why is it so long out before people are going to be able to see it?
Well, because, okay, this is the reason why. Because we have to build up the expectation to the audience, right? The idea is, this is my first feature film.
Mhm.
It's independent. And so it's not, unfortunately, it's not like Hollywood, right? Hollywood, they got the Rock and so forth,
Okay,
and he comes
I
out with a
see.
movie.
I see what you're getting at. Okay.
You see, yeah. So
All
it's
right.
it's a momentum, right?
Yeah.
So right now, currently, what I'm doing is slowly building the base for the audience. There's a lot of goodies that you're going to see on social media. I got a lot of things up my sleeve that's going to really build this up to the moment of the right time for people to say, I want to see that movie.
Mhm.
And with your support, and I'm privileged, feel so grateful and honored that you have me on your platform. Thank you.
Hey, I tell you, it's an honor and privilege to have people like you who are willing to express movies that are hopefully will bring about a positive change. Everybody can bring about a change. We found that out with the last guy, right? He brought about a change, all right. I'm not happy at all with any of the change that he brought about. So anybody can bring about a change. Who is it that can bring about a positive change? That's what I need. That's, I think, what people need today. So if anybody can show that they have something that's going to bring about a positive change, my gosh, why not? It helps everybody. When everybody wins, you got to remember, when everybody wins, you and I are part of everybody. That means that we win too. That's a lot of people kind of overlook that aspect of it all. I am always trying to do in business. I try to do deals where both sides win. Not one wins more than the other. Both sides win, 50-50 kind of deal. And I find that those type of transactions build relationships which are lifelong. They're not, oh, okay, well, whatever it is you're selling for $1, I just found, James Smith just called me up and told me he's going to sell it to me for 99 cents. I'm going to buy it from him. It's not that kind of thing at all. And it overrides all of that because you have an ongoing relationship with people. So I understand. It can get, forget the word that I'm looking for, but I know where you're coming from.
Able to add one more thing to the equation?
Sure.
And thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm all about positivity, right? I didn't do this because I had to. I'll share with you why I've done it. I'm self-made. I'm good. I'm okay in my life. I've done this more because I've been able to be in a position to provide opportunities for over 200 actors, aspiring actors and actresses. The gentleman by the name of Armin Alec, who's my cinematographer, I seen the talent in this young man, and I said, this cannot go unnoticed. So my efforts, because I started a project that was destined in all regards, was meant to fail kind of a concept, because not having the right audience or the capability or equipment and all that. But I defended, we defeated the odds, you know what I mean? Got kind of like grabbed the bull by the horns and made things happen. And so this is a giving to me. I'm giving to the community. There are so many actors and actresses that go to Atlanta and LA and they cast for so many parts and they don't even get called as an extra. Not even as an extra. And what I've been able to do as a producer director, and me, myself, and I don't have to rely on a second party or third party or sit with a board like Disney. And that's where you get a lot of issues and problems where you can't okay something or not okay something. I looked upon those actors and actresses that would look at me and say, you wouldn't give me a chance or a shot because I'm in the back. And it's the opposite. I've done you in the back, come to the front, and I'm going to make you shine. And so what's amazing about this project is that 99, I say 99 because I have one or two actors that have had, pretty good experience. Mr. Gentleman by the name of Wade Williams, he's did The Investigator for Ray Romano. And but other than that, everybody are aspiring actors and actresses. And when you see the movie or you see the trailer, hopefully it doesn't come across as my goal has always been not for it to look like a B or C movie, for it to look like an A movie, high quality, and that's been the effort. So, I'm giving back, and I feel good about that.
Well, now I'm all excited. I want to see the trailer. So I know I think we have a trailer set up on the home network, which is www.wcetfm.com. Go there, and I think you'll find there's a link for the trailer. You can watch it there. The name of the movie is Donald Trump, The Chosen. Is that correct?
Thank you.
That is the correct name.
Donald Trump,
and
The
please
Chosen.
watch it, Riscala. It is an awesome trailer. I mean, the whole movie is just phenomenal, but you'll get the feel of it just from the trailer. You'll see the cinematography is great, the acting is great. He is totally correct. This is a top shelf movie. It's not like a B rating or anything. It's just something that will pull you in, and you will not want to leave it. That's my opinion.
Will, did you say that the trailer's also on YouTube?
Yes, it is. It's on. If you go to YouTube and you put Donald Trump, The Chosen movie, it'll pop right there. It'll hit you right on the screen, and you'll see a picture of him. He's got the MAGA hat on.
Cool. All right. Well,
thank you so much for allowing
Thank
us to join in.
Yes, thank
you.
I
so
do
much.
appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
not a problem at all. You can hang out with us if you want. We've got to take a break. We're up against it's break time.
We're
You're
going to
listening.
give you your airtime.
Yeah,
We love you.
Angel and I are going to get off here, but we want you to listen to our show on Monday.
Well, when I can, I will. I'll tell you that.
And Will, we want you on the show Monday.
Mr. Am I saying your name right, sir? Riscala?
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, sir. All right. Okay, it's Will Torres. The name of the movie is Donald Trump, The Chosen. And you can find him on YouTube. You can find him on WCETFM.com. You can also find him on ConnectedFilms.com. And various ways you can find him. I'm excited about this movie, see what happens. Angel and Christina, I don't really want you to go, but if you want to go, you can. But I'm up against the break.
We're going to be tuning in.
All right.
We'll be listening.
All right, my friends. Well, thank you, Will, for taking time to share with us about the movie. Greatly appreciate that, sir. Wish you the best on it. And my first opportunity, I'm going to go check out the trailer. In the meantime, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show. Don't go away.
You're listening to only the best internet radio station in the world. No, the universe.
WCET-FM.
Carolina Radio, Columbia.
WCET-FM invites you to join the hosts and listeners alike in our new chat room located on WCETFM.com. Your talk station and now your chat location. Just go to WCETFM.com and click the chat and listen page. It's that easy, so hurry up and we will see you there, my friends. So go to www.WCETFM.com.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Pet Connect Plus offers a connection to your pet, living or past, with the use of tarot. Ruby, the owner and intuitive reader for Pet Connect Plus, will make a connection to your pet for guidance on specific questions in general past, present, and future readings of your pet. A connection with an owner and a pet together will run $55 for 50 minutes, or a connection with one pet alone is $35 for 30 minutes. What a deal. Pet Connect Plus can be found at PetConnectPlus.com and on Facebook at Pet Connect Plus. Connect with Pet Connect Plus so we can make a connection with your beloved pet to provide them with a fulfilling and rewarding relationship with you. Get connected today. PetConnectPlus.com. WCET-FM says size does matter. We have a large variety of free radio archives for you to go back and listen to. Size does matter, and WCTFM's archives are huge, with shows like Money and Change, Bare Knuckled, Kindness Beyond the Veil, Supernatural Realm, Show Us Don't Tell Us, The Red Pill Reality Show, The Podstitute Podcast, Dinner with the Klings, In Contact with Dr. Rand, Uncensored, and even our flagship, Late Night in the Midlands, all free. So don't hurt yourself because it's really big. Go big or go home. WCTFM.com. Your home for talk radio and free radio archives. Hey, late nighters, you can keep up with all things WCTFM and L&M by joining our mailing list. Just go to the bottom of the homepage and subscribe. You'll get everything from guest info and show info and other important station-related information. So go sign up now. WCETFM.com.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Goes, 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 goes. Go, 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 go,
Now, from sunny South Florida, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala. Every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to midnight on the L&M Network. And now...
All right, we are back. A little bit of technical difficulty there, but hey, it is what it is. We make it work. It's live radio. That's what happens when we live. Very interesting. If you are going to try to find the movie... Donald Trump The Chosen, I just tried to do that during the break. It doesn't come right up, so it's easier if you go and look for Connected Films on YouTube and subscribe to Connected. I'm not affiliated with them. It's just a little easier to do it this way. You can choose not to subscribe if you want, but you can find the film there. If you do a search for Donald Trump The Chosen, everything but that comes up. And I'm sure they do that on purpose because they don't want to. They do whatever they can to not help. It is sad. It's very similar to the situation that with the gentleman I had on a couple of weeks ago, who was running for Congress here in our district, because he doesn't have the money, because he's not in with the crowd. He's not one of the popular names. He has to fight 10 times harder to get out there to be known. And that's just the way things, to me, they don't need to be this way. If people would change their perception about certain things, they wouldn't need to be this way. We have been deceived and taken advantage of on so many levels. So many levels. And sometimes I think, to me, there was a time in my life when I knew something wasn't right. It was right after 9/11. I just knew something wasn't right. I didn't know anything about anything. other than this gut feeling that something was not right in this world. Something was very, very wrong. And I believed what I was told by the government. I mean, up until that time and period of my life, I believed in the government. I gave them a blank check to the last drop of my blood. Do with it, I'll defend it. So it wasn't about, oh my God, there was thermate used in the building or the Jets couldn't have brought the band. None of that. It was just a sick feeling. Just like this thing I'm watching with this guy. This sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. Couldn't put my finger on it. I remember being on the phone with my brother, watching the second building, I think it was, that came down. I think it was the second building that came down. I said, look at that. And he said, look at what? I said, I don't know. It just doesn't look right. It looks like a banana. It looks like it's somebody's peeling a banana. Because I could see the building wasn't coming down on itself. It was blowing out. But I didn't know anything about explosives. I didn't know anything about that, I just knew what I looked at. It just didn't, I don't know. It just didn't look right. I watched a video with a man on another man's knee on another man's neck. It just, you can tell it's, hey, that's not right, man. There's something, I don't know. Something with that, watching that day started this thing in me, this hunger, this fire, I don't know how to describe it. Wanting to know what is going on, just knowing that there's a lot more to what we're being told here. Too many things are not adding up. Everything, the entire site was cleaned up within, I don't remember, it's like 12 weeks. 12 weeks. I mean, it took years to build that place. 12 weeks, and all of it, and none of it was here. All of it was. We go back to China again. It's all shipped to China so that they can melt it all down, and then we made a destroyer or something, some kind of Navy ship out of it. None of it just didn't make sense to me. And then pictures began to show up. Pictures of the beams of the two towers. Pictures showing that the beams had been cut at an angle. Then questions about bombs, explosives, and videos. And you can hear the explosives happening in the background. And the one that bothered me the most, and still I was naive and ignorant. The one that bothered me the most, though, was when I was glued to the TV set. I don't know many people who weren't. I was literally glued to the TV set. I wasn't going nowhere. I want to know everything, every second, every moment, everything was going on. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, this reporter, I think it was from the BBC, one of the British companies, anyway, says that building number 7, Solomon building, has come down. I'm looking, and she says, it's no longer here. It's gone down. I'm looking behind her, and the building's standing up. I'm like, what are they talking about? I'm watching. Around 5:20, I think it was, 5:25 maybe. All of this commotion begins. Get away from the building, the building's coming down, What are these people talking about? And all of a sudden, the building comes down. But yet, almost a half an hour earlier, somebody was told that building was already down, had come down. And none of that made sense to me. I didn't develop any conspiracy theories. I didn't anything. I just kind of soaked it in like a sponge. Okay, all right, well, I don't know. It doesn't seem right. Well, I'm telling you, something doesn't seem right about this. What has happened with this man, George Floyd. Something is not right. Something doesn't add up. It's too many questions. Too many questions. Was this guy, was the victim really is it true he was a porn star? I'm not saying he was. I'm saying there's some people who have some pictures of this guy with a half-naked lady, and again, they could be photoshopped. I don't know. I'm not a Photoshop specialist, but I know they can do some crazy stuff now. I don't know if you've ever heard of this thing called deep fake, D-E-E-P, deep fake, F-A-K-E. They can take a certain amount of words that you and I say, along with video, and run it through a process where they can have you say on video anything they want you to say. Your mouth will pronounce the words, whatever those words may be. If they're watching your lips, they will pronounce those words. It will be your voice. It will be very difficult to tell that it's not your voice. You'd have to listen very carefully. And the only way to, for sure, would be to put it on an oscilloscope or something of that nature that can actually track the sound and see that it's generated. It's not a human voice. It's an auto-generated voice through a tone generator in a computer. But that's how sophisticated things can get. So I'm saying, there's a picture of him who appears to be naked. I mean, it doesn't show his lower half. It shows almost there, but not quite. With a young lady, half naked, and what appears to be pouring oil on his body. Then there's a story about him being in a ministry of some sort in Texas. It's like, and then he supposedly worked with the same guy that killed him at a nightclub, restaurant, bar, whatever you want to call it. They were both security people at the same place, many times working the same shifts, one outside, one inside. Again, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. And that man that did the killing looked right at the camera with a cold, the most, I can't even describe. I couldn't imagine being there, seeing it in person, let alone seeing it through a camera. The expression was, it was expressionless. In situations like this, normally we see police officers on the radio. Okay, the suspect is down, blah, 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 blah. I didn't see any of that. There are also many times they're yelling and screaming, and the most common thing they're yelling is, stop resisting, stop resisting. I didn't hear any of that. Instead, I saw a man literally kneeling, and I thought initially he had his hand in his pocket, and I think a lot of people felt like I did. But somebody told me, no, he didn't have his hand in his pocket, Rascali. What he had on was a black glove, and his pants were black, and so I blended in, and the way that he was holding his hand made it look like he had his hand in his pocket. And when I first thought to myself, what the hell's he doing with his hand in his pocket? But if his hand wasn't in his pocket, and his hand was on his left knee, what would that be doing? Putting even more pressure on this man's neck. And then I hear today, I just heard this a little while ago, that the autopsies come back, and it wasn't asphyxiation. What was it? If it wasn't asphyxiation, what was it? Was he full of drugs or something? And then this guy on his neck just kind of pushed him over the edge? What was it? Again, the more that I look into it, the more questions that arise. And when I see something like that, in my experience, it means that it's a false flag of some sort. It doesn't mean that it's a hoax. That's a different thing altogether. It means that it's a false flag. A false flag is what it is reported is false. In other words, it wasn't just a white man killing a black man. That's clear and evident. But it was far greater than that. And the purpose of it, the purpose of all of this, is to increase the tensions of the citizens between themselves. Please remember that this New World Order, they will tell you, it's written on many of their documents, the New World Order's modus operandi, their operating motto, if you will, is order through chaos, or order from chaos. And that's exactly what you see. And the more chaos that occurs, the more freedoms that we lose. Look at what's going on in these cities. Now there's curfew going on. We were just, quote, allowed to go out. And now this. We're back inside again. And I believe much of it is paid for. And I think if I am correct, and it can be proven that that's what these people who are doing a lot of the damage are, actors who are paid to do this, they should be subject to suffering under the most intense of punishments, because this is truly domestic terrorism. They may not be threatening you and me physically, but they're threatening you and me. And the way that they're doing that is increasing the pressure on the government, allowing the government more excuses to take away more of our freedoms. And they're being paid to do it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that there's people. It's disgusting to think that there's a man out or a woman out there, or even just a human, if you want to call him that, them, it, whatever. It's truly disturbing to think that there's other beings out there that would look straight into a camera while they knew they were killing somebody. And maybe thinking to themselves, nothing's going to happen. Maybe nothing is going to happen. I don't know. How can you live next to a police officer for God knows how many years and not know he's a police officer? And then you find out the two of them may have very well known each other. They both worked security at the same place at the same time. And you find out that this guy who did the killing had 18 different incidents of overreacting of violence in his reports, and yet he's still working there. I tell you, the more you look at it, his wife, the murdering cop, his wife is now filing divorce, and the cop that was standing by as he did what he did, the cop, the Asian-looking cop, happens to be his brother-in-law until once they get the divorce. It's like the police, the license plate on the police car. The license plate said the word police. Somebody says that's not the license plate of that particular township. That's the license plate from somewhere else. There's just more questions and more questions. Didn't hear him saying, stop resisting. There were 3 other police officers there that were watching what was going on. And not a one of them did a thing. Not a single one of them did a thing. Not even a word. Hey, chill, man, come on. Nothing. So it served the purpose I believe that it was intended to serve. This poor man lost his life. People became enraged. Had every reason to, have a justifiable reason to be enraged. But the enragement, I don't even think that's a word. The anger that they felt was given a steroid by the lockdown that we've been in for God knows how long. Kind of sort of like a powder keg. And this was the fuse. Boom. And there we go. I see that some of the mayors of the cities are openly testifying that the majority of the problem makers are not the locals. They're being bussed in. Now, if you feel it necessary that you want to go and protest, and I think you have every right to, just as I have every right not to, I'll protest in a different way. But if you feel necessary to go protest, and you are among these people and somebody begins to do something that they shouldn't be doing, what are you going to do? Because I'm liable to sucker punch him or something, you know. But in my wisdom, I would probably just immediately leave the scene and get away from them as quickly as I could, in hopes that the police would come down on them really hard. Because there's no excuse for burning buildings and tearing up department stores. One of the buildings they burned down, and I think this was in Minnesota, was a veteran fireman who had saved all his life to open up I think it was a restaurant. They burned it down. He didn't have insurance. What does that have to do with the murder of George Floyd? How is that possibly related? Beside the fact that the man who owned the restaurant is a man of color. Well, I know that most of these people, again, are paid to do what they're doing. And I think they should suffer the consequences, the maximum possible consequences. They should be made examples of. There should be no mercy for them. Because they've betrayed not only you and me, but they've betrayed our country. For money. That's pretty sick. How much money could they be making? $25 an hour? Free bailout? I mean, I've heard it all. $25 an hour and free bail. You get arrested, don't worry, call this phone number, 612 something or another, I don't remember the rest of it. There, you get bailed out. These are pathetic people. I mean, I realize that we're all, let me back up a minute. There are those of us who are going through a very difficult time financially right now. And it's no fault of any of ours. Something completely out of our hands. Quite frustrating because I'm going through it as well. But that's no excuse to do something that would literally betray your responsibility as a citizen of this country. That's no excuse to betray the people for money. And the money that you are accepting is technically is worthless. It's only a perception of value. So what do we do? What do the good people do? Because I think for too long we've sat back and said, okay, well, just let them do what they're going to do. And a lot of times we're right there in the middle of it all, not doing anything. Well, you got an option. You can, if there's more of them than there are of you, then get the hell out of there and let the police come in. But if there's more of you than there is of them, then stop them. Because if you don't, it just makes it worse for everybody else. It gives the police ammunition to act and respond in a violent way. You know, if there's 20 of you and there's 2 or 3 of these people doing what they're doing, breaking glass or whatever, stop them. You can perform a citizen's arrest. Take them to the cops. These guys are breaking the windows over here. You don't have to put up with this crap. Because all it does is escalates more and more and more. And this is what the dark side wants. Fear, division, deceptions, chaos, anything but unity. Because unity would have to admit that there's a degree of love there. And love drives all of those things out. It's the complete opposite of all of those things. So they keep pushing and pushing. Has anybody realized that since 9/11, things are just getting worse, but the time span between what do you even call all of this anymore? Between different events is getting shorter. And those that are happening are becoming more intense. Anybody who's paying attention, anybody who's awake, anybody who knows anything about what's going on knows that the pandemic is not a pandemic. There's no way that you can claim this to be a pandemic. Even from the figures from the CDC, from the CDC, the holy CDC says, oh, we messed up. Our death, or I forget what they call it, the death rate, the mortality rate, I don't know what they call it. I'm so twisted inside. Anyway, instead of being what we thought it was, we find this at 0.026. 0.026. So that means, in my book, if 0.026, that means 98.4 approximately % of the people who have this, let's just say 98%. 98% of the people who have this recover without medical supervision. Okay? Let me say it again, because a lot of people can't get this through their thick freaking skulls, driving around in their cars with the freaking mask on, windows up, and the air conditioner on. 98% of the people who have caught this, quote, pandemic recover without any necessity of medical intervention. 98%. I can't make it any clearer than that. That means almost, well, it's 9.8 people, if you can put it that way, out of 10. 9.8 people out of 10 recover with no medical intervention. And then the remainders, there's only a small percentage of the remainder that requires medical intervention and dies at 0.026. So where's the pandemic? How can you explain to me that we are going through a pandemic? I looked up what pandemic was, and it's nothing like what we're going through. I should have it in front of me so I can tell you what I looked up, but it's nothing like what we're going through. There's nothing in the definition of pandemic that describes what we're going through today. Because basically the pandemic defined, means that it was occurring everywhere. This thing, whatever it was, a disease that was occurring everywhere. I'm paraphrasing. Well, it's not occurring everywhere. Because if it were occurring everywhere, how is it that we have 8 states that never shut down, yet they're doing fine? How is it that we have, I think it's Sweden, never shut down, and they're doing pretty well? I mean, there's some people died. Now people are going to say, what about Wuhan? What about Italy? What about them? There's some things, again, this is like what I'm talking about with this Floyd case. The more you look into it, the more questions there are about it. Again, it tells me it's a false flag of some sort. This whole thing was an attempt, to me. My opinion, I don't have hard evidence. I have what I believe to be evidence, but it's not hard evidence. The whole thing was a plan that had various agendas behind it. One of them was to bring this president down. Another one was to be able to get out of $400 or $500 billion in contracts. Another one was to help steal more of our rights from us. Bring down the economy and you bring down the president. This is how they look at it. Why do you think they're doing what they're doing now? Right, that didn't work, by the way. A lot of people began to see through what was going on. Why are the doctors being pressured to report somebody who comes in dying of a motorcycle accident as dying from COVID? Why are the numbers purposely being inflated? And now there are government agencies who have admitted that some of the numbers are as much as doubled what they actually are supposed to be. And they're claiming there's 100,000 that have died already. Well, when it first all started out, the numbers were lower than the flu. Now all of a sudden they're more than the flu because people were saying, hey, wait a minute, the numbers here are just not adding up. And so we got to have more people die, Riscala. We got to get more people on the COVID line. So everybody that comes in, well, I don't care if you die of a heart attack, it doesn't die if you die of a brain aneurysm, if you're shot to death, you're COVID, Bubba. Every one of you. So they have to inflate the numbers. Why? Because they want to justify more of this, quote, pandemic, which is non-existent, to keep people in fear. Keep wearing that mask. Those of you who are healthy and wearing a mask, you're doing a disservice to your body. You really need to check out the damages that can be done to you by wearing a mask if you're healthy. If you're someone who is under some degree of threat, you're older, you have a compromised immune system, you may be around a lot of people who are sick all the time, that's a different story. But only during that time, and get rid of the mask. And when you get rid of the mask, don't throw it on the freaking ground. I'm so sick of seeing masks everywhere I go. Have the decency to put it in the damn trash can. It's really disgusting. It's not bad enough that people are misled by our government. Then they act like just, they don't care. If you are worried, if you're that worried that you have to wear a mask and gloves and you just take them off, throw them on the ground, what do you think? Those are supposedly contaminated according to you now. Why does somebody else have to pick that up and contaminate themselves? But you're one of the first to scream at somebody else for not wearing a mask. Put it in the damn trash can. Or be like me, I don't wear a mask. The hell with you people. I don't mean that at the people who are wearing a mask. I mean at the people who are telling us to wear a mask. The hell with you people. You've misled everybody. Totally. Now, some of you have admitted to it, and some of you still are playing along with the game. It's horse manure. There is no pandemic. A 98% recovery rate. How can you tell me there is a pandemic? Now, if we were saying, oh, Riscala, we've only got a 70% recovery rate, I'd say, okay, well, maybe. In my words, it'd be more than that, but hey, okay, I go along with that. 98% recovery rate. How are you going to tell me there's a pandemic going on? What right does that give you to begin to just literally rip away my freedom from me? You're talking about being able to come to my home, take my temperature. If you don't like my temperature, take me out of my home. You've lost your frickin' mind. If that's not asking for war, I don't know what is. You talk about some crazy things like, oh, well, you know what? You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do the other unless you can prove you've been vaccinated. That's some pretty heavy talk to a lot of us who don't want to be vaccinated. I don't care what you got. I don't care how many people tell me it's safe. I no longer trust those people. There's nothing that you can do to regain my trust. You rectal orifices, you. Nothing. So you go about your way. The day that you try to forcefully push a needle in my arm, what difference is there between that and rape, by the way? When a man overtakes a woman, forcefully intrudes into her body, what's the difference between that and forcefully vaccinating somebody? Is that not a rape in a form of, in and of itself? You are forcing something into someone that they don't want. Oh, but it's okay because it's for the betterment of all. When was it the government's responsibility to take care of your health? When did that happen? Because the way I understand it is the government's responsibility is to protect your rights. That's where they go. That's as far as they go. You have the right to be in good health. You have the right to be in bad health. You have the right to do what you want with your body. Isn't this what most of the, quote, pro-abortion people say? Well, it's my body. It should be my right. Well, if it's your body and if it's your right, why are they forcing you to wear a mask? Where doctors have already said if you're a healthy individual, the last thing you need to be doing is wearing a mask because all it's doing is compromising your immune system, causing you more susceptibility to the very thing that you're trying to hide from, you dipstick. I get so frustrated. I am just, forgive me, but I am frustrated. I just don't know how to get through to people anymore. And, Will Torres, who was on earlier, he said something that really, really caught my ear. You know what the real pandemic is? And I don't hear a lot of talk about it. The real pandemic is the prisoners that they're letting go. The real pandemic are the prisoners that are being released. Some of these prisoners are guilty of the most horrible things. So, I don't know I think it was Colorado. Forgive me, Colorado, if I'm wrong, but I think it was Colorado where they had this mass murderer. 45 or 47 people this guy killed, and they were going to let him out. They're going to let him out. I did not serve this country. To watch people who go to church be arrested while people behind bars who are guilty for horrible crimes be set free. Hell no. The real pandemic are the prisoners are being released. The real pandemic is a tyranny that has been turned loose upon us. That's the real pandemic. The virus are these, quote, politicians who are doing all of this to us. That's the virus. It's going to kill more people. It's going to harm more people than you could ever possibly save by doing what they've done. Now, I don't hold the president personally responsible because I believe he listened to people who he believed in. I can't imagine building the strongest economy in the history of mankind and then someone coming along and saying, too bad, take it down. They punched him on the right. They punched him on the left. They punched him in the stomach. Then they punched him in the groin. And he continues to stand and fight back. Yeah, I have no question in my mind. This whole thing, virus, whatever it turns out to be, bring down the economy. You'll bring down this president. You'll get out of $400 or $500 billion in contracts. You'll usher in more theft of the rights of the people, greater power to the governments, and your agenda will continue to move forward. I'm more scared of the people who are so easily led or misled. Than I am of any stupid virus that they can come up with. Italy performed autopsies on people who died from this coronavirus. Turned out that it wasn't a virus. According to the reports, it's a bacteria. And something as simple as aspirin, can help relieve it almost immediately. Why aren't we being told that? Why aren't you being told that something like vitamin A, which would act kind of like an insulator, if you will, a protector around the cells of your body against a, quote, virus, vitamin A, vitamin C in megadoses, 6 to 7, 8 grams a day. You can't OD on vitamin C. Whatever your body doesn't use comes back out in your urine. When you take in megadoses of vitamin C, your body processes that into hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is a disinfectant. You remember that word that the president used? That they made so much fun about? So you get up there in the high dosages and the mega dosages of hydrogen peroxide, you get them in your body converts them into hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is a disinfectant. They don't tell you to take vitamin D3, which is an immune booster. Better than a shot. Better than a flu shot. Far better than a flu shot. Oh my gosh. They don't tell you to utilize the ability to get your body's pH system up by drinking distilled water, adding a little bit of baking soda, about a half a teaspoon of baking soda to a gallon of distilled water. Distilled water. It's got to be distilled. Because you're adding baking soda to it, you're adding more minerals and salts into the water anyway. And the purer the water, the faster it'll take out any toxins of your body. They don't tell you that you can use things like colloidal silver and various other things that are out there that can help tremendously and bring it to a halt. What they tell you about is vaccines, or expensive pills. This new pill that they want to come out with, which is like $1,000 for a pill. They'll tell you about that all day long. But they won't talk about the hydroxychloroquine. They won't talk about that because that's cheap. Oh, it's a dangerous drug, Riscala. It's only been around 80 years. Oh, but they've never used it for this. What difference does it make? You think when your body takes this medicine, it says, okay, now I'm going to take this medicine for whatever it originally was, arthritis or whatever. Right? So you're going to take the pill and the body says, okay, well, that's the only thing I'm going to work on is the arthritis. There's nothing else. It's just strictly for whatever it originally was. I think it's arthritis. So if you take this pill, that's the only thing it's good for. Can't be good for anything else. Heaven forbid. For 70 or 80 years, people have been taking this pill. Yes, some people have died from it. There's no question about that. But the overall results, again, the data, the numbers don't lie. It's a relatively safe drug. The numbers of people having side effects are very few, extremely few, unfortunately for them. But they won't tell you about other ways. They push the vaccines. You got to have a vaccine. We're going to have a vaccine soon. There's going to be a vaccine available. You don't have to worry. A vaccine is coming out. We're working on a vaccine. We've never worked so hard on a vaccine. Soon we'll have a vaccine. Faster than ever before, there will be a vaccine. Take your vaccine and go pound sand. I don't trust you people. I will never trust you. You will never, ever, ever have my trust again. With all that I have learned about the pharmaceutical industries, they deserve no trust whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. Mind you, many of these people that are outspoken about many of the things, these mandatory vaccines and stuff like that, many of these people themselves earn upwards of tens of millions of dollars in salary every year. Some of them as much as $30 million a year these people make. You don't think they have the money to say, oh, no, you're not vaccinating my kids. You're not vaccinating me. No, that's not going to work in this household. No. Give me a break. Some of them, honestly, make almost $30 million a year off of the backs of sick people. So who's really the sick one here? The people taking advantage of people who are in desperate need of medication and they're paying out the nose for it while these other people are buying their fourth and fifth home all around the world? Can you imagine making $30 million every frickin' year? Listen, don't misunderstand me. I got no problem with people who make a lot of money. You can make all the money you want. God bless you. But the moment that you make that much money that it gets to your brain and you think that your poop no longer smells, you're able to put your pant legs on 2 at a time, and pigs begin to fly because of the ideas that you think, well, just because you have money, you can demand more from people. I don't think so. The world is being misled. Being misled by people who are truly evil. Truly. This man, Bill Gates, Italy, against, now again, I can't verify this, this is what I've read. Against the orders of the WHO, World Health Organization, who, by the way, thank you, President Trump, has decided to tell them to go pound sand. Thank you very much. Italy, against the orders of the WHO, has decided to produce autopsies on the people who have died from this, quote, COVID virus, to find out that it's a bacteria. Now, why would the WHO tell people we don't want you performing autopsies, just bury them? Doesn't make sense, does it? We're being played. And now more than ever, the time is desperate for people to wake up from this stuff and see what is going on. Our rights are just, we have little to no right anymore. They're threatening with coming into your home and removing people. That's completely unheard of in America. This isn't Nazi Germany. And that's surely what it's reflecting when I see what's going on. My God, how can we be putting up with this? How can we be accepting this kind of behavior from our government? Why is it people are so afraid? It's supposed to be the other way around. The government is supposed to be in fear of the people. The people are not supposed to be in fear of the government. But that's what we have today. We have a government that has clearly overstepped its grounds. It has overstepped its lines of authority. And in some cases, it really doesn't give a damn. It's in your face. Now, the numbers that I'm giving you, 98.6%, I may be off. Maybe it's 98.4. It's 98%, minimum of 98%. That's coming from this holy organization called the CDC. I don't believe a word they say, anyway. But there's a lot of other people who back up that particular data that say that recovery rate is well over 98%. And it may be at the point where the CDC can't continue with the line. They have to admit that they were wrong, because they did. They admitted they were wrong. They admitted it's not as contagious as they thought it was. They admitted that the mortality rate is not as high as they thought it was. So why are we pretending that it's continuing to go on? Why are there still places where people are in, quote, lockdown? You know, the term lockdown originally, I think I said earlier, is from prison. For the slaves in prison. You're on lockdown. It's what we're allowing that really disturbs me. That's what really bothers me the most. It doesn't bother me. It does bother me. Forgive me. That's wrong. It does bother me that the government is overstepping its boundaries. That does bother me. But what bothers me more is the people allowing them to continue to do it. That's what really gets under my skin. And nobody stands up to these people and say, hey, no, ain't happening. You're not authorized. And if enough of us would do that, these people would step back and go, okay, you're right. But because we don't, we give them basically permission to keep doing what they're doing. Our silence becomes their consent. That's really what it boils down to. And many people have been conditioned, they've been programmed, whatever you want to call it, into this silence. If I were there watching what was going on with that police officer, I'm somebody who's wired, I'm telling you, I would have probably either been shot dead or ended up in jail and been villainized. How this man stepped in the middle of police procedure, blah, blah, how dare him. Blah, blah. It wouldn't have been the guy was killing him. There wouldn't have been that at all. How are we going to turn it around? There has to be more of people who think like me. God help me. If I'm wrong, just take me away tonight. Just take me. What was that? What was that commercial? Calgon, take me away. Oh my God. There has to be more people who think like me. I got to believe that what is going on is not right. The riots aren't right. That man who killed that man is not right. He should suffer the most serious of consequences. Whatever the highest penalty is, he should suffer. He literally tortured that man until he died. That's disgusting. But that's no excuse for people to become violent to more innocent people, to hurt more innocent people. What we should be doing, if you want to get upset with the police departments and force them to change the way that they deal with people. You know, Will said earlier it would be great if they went out and had the same experience that he had being a corrections officer. You have to have a degree of ability to de-escalate things. In many of the videos I see, they don't try to de-escalate anything. They actually increase the escalation. But again, that's what they're trained to do. They see us as the enemy. Many of them. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them. And the sad part is the ones who can't speak out, because if they do, they become villainized. Or they become like this one cop. Hey, see you later, pal, you're fired. The one guy who got on the video and said, you know, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to step on people's rights. I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I'm paraphrasing. I took an oath to defend the Constitution when I was in the military, and that oath carries on into my police work. And he says that his superiors called him and say, you know, it was a great job, blah, blah, blah. I was really proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And then later in the day, they said, it was a bad thing. 2 days later, they were out for his arrest. They want to arrest him. So if you want justice, then you go after these departments that are crooked. You don't go after Target and AutoZone, and then, God forbid, an ex-firefighter who saved all of his life to open up a restaurant bar and burn his dream down to the ground because your inability to recognize that you're doing the wrong thing. Or these people that are paid to do these things. So what's going to happen now? Well, the next thing's going to happen is the military's going to move in. So instead of the violence decreasing, there is a tendency now, there's a great possibility for violence to increase. Because people like George Soros will pay people, all right, now we want you to go in there, throw Molotov cocktails. We want you to really, step it up a notch. Come on, you're not doing enough. We want to see some blood. I hear somebody's already been shot dead somewhere. I can't remember. We're a 19-year-old, I think it was. How are we going to stop all this? You have to understand that there's people out there. I think about some of the stuff that I learned with Angel. Thank you, Angel. I'm so grateful for some of the things that you taught me. She basically told me that there are people who have no soul. I have to, I look at that cop that was stepping on that man's neck. I don't think that man has a soul. I really don't. The cold, calculated, callous look that was in that man's eyes is spooky. It's creepy. And to think that there's other people out there like that. I never thought about stuff like that before. I really didn't. I don't know. I tell people, if you're honest at heart, you just kind of think the rest of the world is kind of like you are. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you're going to do something. You don't tell them you're going to do something knowing when you tell them you're going to do something, you're not. I just always thought people were just honest at heart. And then I met up with some people who were really freaking evil and went, oh my God, how can they be alive? And then I see this. I have a hard time watching the video. I couldn't imagine being there personally watching it happen in real life. God help me. Where are we? Where are the rest of you who think like me? Why are you so damn quiet? It frustrates me. It frustrates me because there was a time in my life where I thought I was serving this country for the freedom of the people. So people would retain the freedom that they have. I mean, that's what I believe. That's what I was told. I was young. I didn't know much better. I was only 17 years old. So I laid 3 years and 8 months of my life aside serving this country. I have friends of mine that went to war. When they came back, they weren't the same. They had seen things. They'd been exposed to things that they had a very difficult time processing in their brain. Then there were friends of mine who didn't come back, dying because they believed what they were doing was the right thing. Deeply believing that what we were doing was defending our country. Most of my friends were 17, 18 years old. 18, let me back up a minute. Most of my friends were 18 or 19 years old. I joined at 17, but they wouldn't let me do active duty until I turned 18. So I had this thing called time and grade, which helped me get my first couple promotions quicker than the average person because I already had. So it's a long story. Anyway, those that did come back, they were scared to go to therapy and talk to the psychos on base because they were afraid they'd be discharged with a bad discharge. It wouldn't be an honorable discharge, or it'd be an honorable discharge under questionable conditions. Wouldn't be an honorable discharge all the way through. So one of the ways that they dealt with it was drinking and smoking some pot. Some of them would go further and do some other heavy drugs. And many times, while we were all sitting around doing these things, conversation would break out because they would be reminded, something would remind them of something, which would remind them of something, and they would be reliving a moment while they were there, which would start into a pretty detailed stories about what they experienced. And it was horrifying. It brings me to tears, and I wasn't there. So many of my friends, believing what we were doing was the right thing, believing what we were doing was to protect the citizens and the freedom that we had in this country, laid their lives down. I was ignorant. I mean, if they would have told me to go, I would have fought tooth and nail to go, but if I had to go, I would have gone. Actually, I had orders to go 2 weeks before. I was screaming like a baby. I don't want to go. But fortunately for me, 2 weeks before I was due to report, they redlined my orders, and I didn't end up going. I was very fortunate. Some of my friends weren't. And it disturbs me deeply to watch how quickly citizens have given up their rights with no fight whatsoever. Not only that, but then they attempt to shame other people who are exercising their rights. It scares me because I know that the similarities between what is happening now and many of the things that happened in Nazi Germany are quite similar. And people are refusing to look at truth. I walked up to a man, an elderly man, who was barely able to walk at a grocery store. Had a mask on. He was on his way to his car, and I was probably 10 feet away from him. And he was in front of me, and I began to walk a little faster so I could catch up to him. And I got around to, still about 7, 8 feet from him, and I said, "Sir." And as soon as I said, "Sir," he turned around and he lunged at me and said, "Get back!" Screamed at me, "Get back." And I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Get back, get back." And I just kind of shook my head and I walked on. The fear that this man must be experiencing. Must be horrifying. To be afraid to leave your home. That you're going to catch this god-awful disease that for sure is going to kill you. It's going to kill you, 98% recovery rate, and it's going to kill you. Videos of people, a 100-year-old person got through it. Knowing that the fear that has been generated is manufactured through that little boob tube that people have in their homes. That it literally controls them. Literally. And they don't even know it. They don't even know it. They're hypnotized by the programs that they watch. And when someone like me comes along and says, the wearing of a mask is harming you if you're a healthy individual, that goes against what the programs they've been watching have told them. And they go through this thing called cognitive dissonance, and they go, no, Riscala, you're sick. You offend me. You're threatening other people's lives. That's not right. Well, the truth of the matter is, it's absolutely right. If you're a healthy individual, there's no need for you to wear a mask. As a matter of fact, in many cases, it's doing you harm. Doing you more harm than it is good. And by God, don't go out there and exercise and wear a frickin' mask. What's the matter with you? If anything, when you're exercising, while you're doing exercising, your body needs oxygen. Why would you want to restrict that? You looking to get a heart attack? Come on. Or pass out like one guy driving down the road says that, I had my mask on, next thing I know, I'm in the middle of a pole. Oh, gee. Use some common sense. Use some logic. Question. There's nothing wrong with questioning. Has your government ever lied to you? If you say no, you are as dumb as a rock. I'm not apologizing. They lie all the damn time. I can show you incident after incident after incident where they've lied. They have to protect them and their bottom line. So if they tell you that 2 planes brought down 3 buildings on September the 11th, you believe them? Because if you do, you're part of the problem. There's no other time in the history of man, the history of math, that 1 + 1 = 3, ever. Not that I'm aware of. But that's what they want you to believe on that day. 2 aircraft brought down 3 buildings. And don't you dare question why. If someone is being truthful with you, and they're being transparent and letting you know everything by the book, the facts, they have nothing to worry about if you begin to question. As a matter of fact, the more you question, the more it would verify whatever it is that they're saying. So why is it that they have such a problem with people questioning? There's something very sinister, and I don't mean just the murder itself, far, far more sinister than that, if you can imagine it, that we witnessed on this video with this man murdering another man. There's something far more sinister than what we're watching, far more. And it disturbs me how quickly it is being used to do things to increase the deterioration of our society. It really does. That's what scares me, not this stupid virus. And I don't mean to make fun of it in the sense that it's not deadly. It is deadly. It is a very deadly virus. If it is a virus at all, whatever it is, it's very deadly. I'm not making fun of that. The reason I say stupid is because of all of the insanity that has come about because of it, that should never have occurred to begin with. That's what's stupid.
listening to only the best internet radio station in the world. No, the universe.
WCT FM.
Carolina Radio, Columbia.
WCT FM invites you to join the hosts and listeners alike in our new chat room located on WCTFM.com. Your talk station and now your chat location. Just go to WCTFM.com and click the chat and listen page. It's that easy, so hurry up and we will see you there, my friends. So go to www.WCTFM.com.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Pet Connect Plus offers a connection to your pet, living or past, with the use of tarot. Ruby, the owner and intuitive reader for Pet Connect Plus, will make a connection to your pet for guidance on specific questions in general past, present, and future readings of your pet. A connection with an owner and a pet together will run $55 for 50 minutes, or a connection with one pet alone is $35 for 30 minutes. What a deal. Pet Connect Plus can be found at PetConnectPlus.com and on Facebook at Pet Connect Plus. Connect with Pet Connect Plus so we can make a connection with your beloved pet to provide them with a fulfilling and rewarding relationship with you. Get connected today. PetConnectPlus.com. WCTFM says size does matter. We have a large variety of free radio archives for you to go back and listen to. Size does matter, and WCTFM's archives are huge, with shows like Money and Change, Bare Knuckle, Kindness Beyond the Veil, Supernatural Realm, Show Us Don't Tell Us, The Red Pill Reality Show, The Podstitute Podcast, Dinner with the Klings, In Contact with Dr. Rand, Uncensored, and even our flagship, Late Night in the Midlands, all free. So don't hurt yourself because it's really big. Go big or go home. WCTFM.com, your home for talk radio and free radio archives. Hey, late nighters, you can keep up with all things WCTFM and L&M by joining our mailing list. Just go to the bottom of the homepage and subscribe. You'll get everything from guest info and show info and other important station-related information. So go sign up now, WCETFM.com.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Goes, 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 goes,
Now, from sunny South Florida, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala. Every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to midnight on the L&M Network. And now, your host, Riscala.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. An honor and a privilege to be with you. Thank you for taking time to listen. I greatly appreciate it. I want to say a big thank you to our home network, WCET-FM. Without them, we wouldn't be here. A big thank you to 101.7 out of Columbia, WCET-FM. And you can also find us on www.wcetfm.com. Excuse me. One of those things where your body's going to hiccup and then decides, at the last second, we're not going to do that. You can find archives there. You can find a wide variety of things. And if you would take the time to donate, that would be ever so grateful. Because it's one of those things. It's unfortunate, but we have to use the system in order to beat the system. And in order to be able to do that, we have to have money. And so we don't ask a lot, a whopping $5, I think it is. I just do it automatically. I am a subscriber. I've been a subscriber from the very beginning because I believe in what we're doing. And so when I ask of you to do something, it's not something that I'm not doing myself. And if you want to make a one-time donation, that's great too. That helps tremendously. So a big thank you to WCET-FM. A big thank you to High Point Radio 1690. They are out of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. They play our network as well. And KYAH, I understand they take our show and play it from time to time. I greatly appreciate that. KYAH, 540 AM out of Utah. Many, many thanks to you guys. And to the people who donate their time to the network. Thank you, all of you. It is a group effort that, we all have one basic belief in mind. I think I can speak for all of us when I say we all have one basic belief in mind, and that is we want to be free and independent. That's what it all boils down to. Be free and independent. In order to do that, you have to have knowledge. And there's a wide variety of knowledge that is available on this network from from A to Z. And this is one of the few places that you can go. You'll get more than that in which you invested. And that's how we look at it. You're investing with us by subscribing with a whopping $5. I mean, that's one of those fast food meals that you can get at not that I go there, but a McDonald's or a Burger King or one of those places. I think they have meals for like $5. Can you do it without one of them for a whole whopping month? And in exchange for that, get knowledge. And, if you have a meal, how long does it last? How long does it take you to eat the meal? 10 minutes, 15 minutes? If you gain the knowledge, how long does it take you to get rid of the knowledge? In some cases, never. You live with it for the rest of your life. So that's just another way to look at investing with us, helping us to continue to do what we're doing. Because without you, there is no WCET. There is no us. And that would be a sad thing. It's a sad thought to think about. Hopefully we will continue to get the support that we have in the past, although support has dropped, and that's understandable with all the all the insanity that we're going through. It's understandable. A lot of people, I think now the number's up to almost 40 million people are out of work or will be affected by non-work in some way, shape, or form. I'm one of them 40. So I know, I understand. Whatever you can do is greatly appreciated because we know we're all going through Let me back up a minute because I don't like to use that term. Many of us are going through a hard time. We're not all in this together. That's just not true. There are people who are forcing us out of business who never suffered a moment with regard to financial, financial return. They got a paycheck the whole time that they're telling people you can't go to work. How is that right? Who are they to decide who is essential and who is not essential? And if you don't think this was planned, why would they have made provisions for this a year in advance? A year in advance. The CARES Act that the president recently signed into effect was written a year ago, over a year ago, in January of 2019. Why would this Dr. Fauci character 3 years ago say that, oh yes, this administration will definitely have a surprise pandemic? How the hell did you know that? And now he's the one pushing vaccinations. How funny that he's related to the vaccine industry, isn't it? He's heavily involved in the vaccine industry. We're being played, folks. We're being played, and you know, quite honestly, for those of us who are awake, this poop is getting old. The best way I can put it to you. It really is getting old. It's getting on my last nerve. And I know I'm not the last one. I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. I know there's a whole bunch of people out there that feel like I do. And the smallest little thing that normally wouldn't have an effect on us is going to. Because it's kind of like a, you know, I think of it, it's like a balloon. Okay, you blow a breath into it, it's no big deal. You blow another one, it's no big deal. How many of those can you blow into it before eventually it is a big deal? That the next breath that you blow into it blows that balloon up. That's where I'm at. It's not going to take a whole lot. I'm tired of watching what our government is doing. I'm tired of knowing that these people don't have the authority to do what they do, but yet they do it. Why? Because we refuse to hold them responsible. Who's going to hold the government responsible when the government breaks the law? The people. And you're not doing it. And therein lies the major part of this whole problem. They have convinced people that they are the authority. Hell no! We are the authority. We loan it to them. I'm so frustrated I can't even talk. I think about the people who are... I think about that old man. I really felt so bad for him. I wasn't embarrassed at all. I felt really bad. And the bad feeling that I had was, oh my God, this poor guy is so afraid. He is so deathly afraid. Get back! It was truly frightening. And it wasn't just a scream. It was a lunge at me to get back. I mean, he you know, like a rooster does their head, that kind of lunge. It's get back! I got in my car and I just kind of sat in my car for a minute thinking, oh my God, please God, don't ever let me be that afraid. Oh my God. I know there's things I'm afraid of, but my God, please don't ever let me be in such fear that I can't go out in public. And then if somebody walks up to me willing to help me with, obviously he was having a problem. He could barely walk. He's trying to push this cart and he's moving about 1/1,000,000th of 1 mile an hour. Maybe a foot a minute if we're lucky. And somebody comes along and wants to help you and you freak out. You're so afraid that this person who wants to help you might make you sick and die. You're going to die. With a 98% recovery rate. Why aren't they reporting that? I don't watch television. I don't have cable TV. The closest thing I have is the internet. I have cable that comes into my home. But there's no television on that cable. I refuse to pay to be programmed. I refuse. But I do have internet. And I do have landlines, VoIP, VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. I use that for my business. And I use the internet for my business, as well as my shows and stuff like that. And I don't have TV. But I know from speaking to friends that many of these things they don't talk about on television. Why don't they Instead of constantly telling you how many people are dying, which we know those numbers are inflated. I mean, they've openly admitted those numbers are inflated. Let's put that aside a minute. Why do they keep telling you about vaccines, the number of people dying, vaccines, the number of people dying? I don't hear anybody telling me, oh yeah, they said that 98% of the people recover. Am I right? Are you not hearing about that? If I am correct, then why aren't you questioning that? I may be wrong. I don't know. I'm asking the question. Are they telling you that 98% of the people are recovering as much as they're telling you, oh my God, now we've got 100,000 people that are dead. Oh my God. Are they telling you the same on both sides? Because from what I understand, they're not. They're leaving things like what I told you earlier about the vitamins out. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, colloidal silver, or if you really want the best of the best, it's, of course now it slips my mind. It's from Dr. Horowitz. It'll come to me in a minute. And distilled water. Those, if you use things that have been around forever and ever, and shown they have an effect on these things, you don't have to use expensive medicines. They won't tell you about that because there's no money in it for them. You don't have to have vaccines. They won't tell you about that. They want you vaccinated. I wonder how many of you out there are aware of a patent that is, if you got a pencil, write this down. This is a patent by Bill Gates. And the, I can't think of the name of him, Pitt something. So it starts with a P, Institute, to Pittsburgh or something like that, Institute, that he's heavily involved in. The patent number, WO 2020 /060606. This is a patent for cryptocurrency. The way that this patent works and the way that the cryptocurrency is generated, it uses the energy of your body. It is introduced to you through a vaccine, at which point they will know literally everything about you. There will be nothing held in private. And when I say nothing, I mean absolutely nothing. They will know when you poop. They will know when you have sex. They will know what your heartbeat is. They will know what your breathing rate is. They will know what your blood pressure is. They will even know what you're thinking about. Oh, you're just crazy, Miss Kala. Crazy conspiracy theories. Find out a little bit about 5G. I would suggest to you that you start looking into 5G. Because if you're somebody who does not believe that on 9/11 it wasn't just 19 young men from the Middle East who did all the damage, then you should be checking into 5G. Because it's not what we're being told. 5G is going to subject you to microwaves at an intensity unlike ever before. Now, I've wondered why some people who get this, quote, virus go through these horrible deaths while other people just kind of make it right on through. And there seems to be a degree of correlation, some kind of relationship between this 5G and the breakout areas. If you look at the areas where the breakouts are, there seems to be predominantly 5G in the area. In Wuhan, they had just rolled out 5G. Completely just saturated the city with 5G. And all of a sudden these people start falling out in the streets, just dropping, boop, bye. In Italy, same thing. They had just rolled out 5G. And in Washington, they had 5G. New York, there's 5G. On the cruise ships, there's 5G. Somehow there's a relationship. I don't know what it is. I suspect what it may be is that it depends upon the person's toxicity rate, I guess is the best way to put it. Depends on how much metal you have in your body. And each of us have a degree of metal. Whether you like it or not, there's a degree of aluminum in each of us. Whether you want to admit that or not, that's up to you. But the truth of the matter is there's nowhere you can go on this planet and breathe the air and not breathe in aluminum. It's just saturated the whole damn planet. I don't know of anywhere that you can go that they're not spraying the skies and it's carrying over everywhere, and there's some degree of aluminum in the air. One of the components of these chemtrails that they're spraying. Now, to me, what it seems like, it depends upon how much aluminum and other metals, but primarily aluminum, because aluminum seems to have the fastest reaction. So if you've got aluminum and considerable amounts of aluminum in your body, and then you're subjected to 5G, you're literally being microwaved from the inside out. Literally. Now, if you want to see what microwaving can do to aluminum, take a CD or a DVD that you don't want anymore, put it in your microwave oven for 1 or 2 seconds, no more, and watch what happens. Now imagine that there's nanoparticulates of that in your body, minute particles of that, still going to react to the microwave, whether you like it or not. They're still there. This is science. This is basic science. You have an A and you have a B. A and B react to each other. Plus and minus reacts to each other. Regardless of the size, they react to each other. Whether it's 1 volt, whether it's 100 million volts, they react to each other. So regardless of the size of the particle of aluminum that you have in your body, it is going to react to the microwave that your body is being subjected to. The more that you have, the more that you get cooked, literally, from the inside out. That's what I believe is happening to some of these people. Not everybody, but some people. They have a high degree of aluminum in their body, and they're being microwaved from the inside out. Other people had underlying issues. Of course, I told you earlier, even Dr. Bricks has said, we have a very liberal policy, I'm paraphrasing, and that people come in, if we think they have COVID-19, we're listing that on the death certificate. They're telling you to your face. People may not have died from it, but we're telling you that they will. They are dead. That's what they died from. There's numerous reports of people who have gone into hospital knowingly. One lady wrote about her grandmother who went into the hospital after having been in hospice care, and it was her last couple days, and when she passed away and looked at the death certificate, they said COVID-19. She didn't die of COVID-19. She died of way of heart failure. Her heart had finally given out. She couldn't take it anymore. But they put COVID-19 down there. CDC has said in some cases we have doubled the numbers. In some cases, we have doubled the numbers. Do you understand? Why do they have to lie? What is the reason behind the lying? I believe it is because they know from the very beginning that the numbers weren't coming out the way that they wanted them to, so they had to figure out some way to justify the intense actions that they have taken. And the only way that they could seemingly get out of that is to lie about the numbers. And that's what you're seeing. An inflation of the numbers of people so that it looks like, oh my God, 100,000 people are dead. I would venture to say it's probably half of that, if that. Nobody's dying of cancer anymore. This quote virus, whatever this thing is, has cured all the other diseases. Do you realize that? Nobody's dying from brain aneurysms. Nobody's dying from heart disease. Nobody's dying from cancer. Nobody's dying from diabetes. None of that stuff. All of that has been cured now because everybody's dying of COVID-19. You see the insanity in all of this? I hope you do. I hope you do. I hope you begin to look and begin to research while we still have the ability to do this and look into these things and question. For God's sake, question. Question what's going on. There's too many people, and it's good-hearted, meaning well people who are just so misguided, completely misguided. There has to be more people who, I don't want to say think like me, but think along the same lines as I do, that this is ridiculous what they're doing to us. That what they're doing, they don't have the authority to do. And that's a fact. That's not my idea. They don't have the authority to do this. The government is not responsible for your health, for God's sake. The government is responsible to see to it that your rights are not infringed upon. That is their responsibility. Not to make you buy anything, not to make you wear anything, none of that. They don't have that authority. And when you go and wear the frickin' mask, all you're doing is complying and telling them, oh, yes, master, I will do it. May I go to work? Oh, am I allowed to go to the beach now? Give it a frickin' rest. It really drives me up the wall. Because to me, it's a slap in the face of all of those who have sacrificed for the freedoms of the people of this country. For them to do stupid things like that. And then we'll support our troops. You want to support our troops? My God, don't comply with the stupidity that they're asking you to comply with, for God's sake. Stop allowing these people to rip you off and our freedoms be taken away from us. You want to support our troops? Do that. Otherwise, you're spitting in their face. People, hundreds of, God, I don't know how many people have died believing that they are doing what they were doing is to support the freedom of our country. How can you tell me you're free when you have to ask your government if you can go to freaking work? How can you tell me if you can't be free if you can walk into a store and you're not wearing a mask and they call the police on you and you get arrested, for God's sake? How can you be free if you walk out on the beach and you become arrested? How can you be free if you go to church and you get arrested? What kind of a country do we live in when they let the frickin' prisoners out and they arrest the people that are going to church? You got to start questioning. If we don't want, we're just doomed. We're frickin' doomed. Imagine, if you will, a country that frees all of its prisoners, however, threatens churchgoers with fines and jail. Imagine a country, if you will, shuts down all the schools. Oh, well, I guess I didn't like that because it just cut right out, just like that. But if you can't imagine where you're living in a country where they let the prisoners go, and they threaten people who go to church with jail. And they're letting the prisoners go for what? Oh, because they may get sick. Well, listen, we didn't break the law. They broke the law. So if you get sick while you're in jail, that's not my fault. That's your fault for having to be in jail to begin with. Why do you want to make me suffer for that? Oh, but that's what they're doing. Again, Will Torres, he really hit it on the nail on the head. My ears were ringing when he said that the real problem, the real pandemic, is the prisoners that they're releasing. Imagine some of these people have committed the most horrific of crimes and they're out walking among us. But yet you and me, God forbid, if we go to church, if we go to the beach, if we go to the park, they're going to put us in jail. Now, if that doesn't literally piss you off, then go back to sleep and leave us the hell alone. Let the rest of us get the hell out of my way because we're coming through. That's what it boils down to. We've had enough. It's time for change in this country. It's time to go back to what is really intended to be. And that is for the people to have the power, not the frickin' government. And you can see the government has the power right now, and you see what they're doing to us. You see what's going on. It'll never, ever work. We must go back to having the people having the power in this country. Until that happens, we're just doomed. In the meantime, I'll be back in a week. Hope you guys hang in there. Long week to go. Oh my gosh, who knows?
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.